Hello, and thank you for joining us for the AB Transition Forum. This is installment number 2 that Putnam City Schools has provided as we are answering some questions that parents have and giving some more information as we get closer and closer to our first day of school, October 26th. I would like to go around the Zoom room and have my colleagues introduce themselves. Let's begin with our superintendent.
Fred Rhodes, superintendent.
CORY.
CORY BOGGS, Executive Director of Information Technology.
SHELLY.
SHELLY Roper, Executive Director of Secondary Education.
Barb.
Barb Crump, Executive Director of Elementary Education.
Scott.
Scott McCall, Executive Director of Special Services.
And I want to thank you all for being here and putting time in to answer these questions today. My name is Charity Hurst. I'm the Director of Communications for Putnam City Schools. We have a few questions that we're going to go over, but let's start with the most important information. We're going to take a look at the AB schedule. So you have been assigned either A or B schedule. We want to make sure that you know these days that your student comes. If your student has been assigned an A schedule, they are in person on Monday and Tuesday, and they have virtual learning days on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. If they have been assigned a B schedule, they are in virtual learning days on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they are in person on Thursday and Friday. And I have to tell you, everyone is so excited to be welcoming students back, and we're glad that we can do this in the safest way possible. Several things that we do want to go through. The first thing is, since our last video, some changes have actually been made. The Oklahoma State Department of Education made a few changes with regards to the levels on the COVID alert map on orange 2 and red. Dr. Rhodes, do you want to explain a little bit more about those changes?
Sure. So before I talk about what is orange 2 and red, just give a brief overview. The State Department of Education has posted on their website, as well as the Oklahoma State School Board Association, what is called the county by county color-coded COVID-19 alert system. And there's protocol for schools to follow in each of those categories. It starts with green, which we hope someday in our lives we'll be able to get back to green. But there's green and then yellow, and then orange 1, orange 2, and red. About 3 weeks ago, the State Department of Education, working with state officials, healthcare professionals, made one modification, and actually this change has been made since our very first Transition Forum video. So it's very important for people to note that originally in orange 1, what you had was that school districts could have distance learning or follow an AB schedule. And in orange 2, previously, orange 2 was just a distance learning plan. So the change that has been made is that now in orange 2, school districts are able to go ahead with an AB schedule, which means in-person learning, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But that's the change. There were no changes to extracurricular activities from orange 1 to orange 2.
Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. Now, our IT department has been working very hard from the beginning of this pandemic, and especially hard as we started to separate our AB schedules. And CORY BOGGS is in charge of that department. CORY, I know you all have also created maps so that parents can easily go on and see if they are an AB schedule. Can you show us those and tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So if you navigate to our district website, there's a section over here that will connect you to the maps. When you click on that, we have the links to every school listed below. And when you click on one of those schools, it will display what color-coded areas your school is in. And so you can look, if you know where you live, where your map will be. And we also have a new tool that we are going to hopefully be releasing today or very soon, that parents will be able to put in their address if they're not a map person, and be able to find out exactly what day has been assigned to them.
Thanks, CORY. I know parents also have a lot of questions about COVID protocols and what things will look like as we return to school, wearing masks, some of those things. So Scott, if you want to give us a little bit of information on that.
Yes, thank you, Charity. So as you mentioned, the mask is something that's required to attend school. So make sure you send your child to school with a mask starting Monday. I think it's also maybe a good idea to plan on getting in the habit of putting a second mask in your child's backpack or sending one with them. A couple of things that I'd want to highlight is that we have a team of people who will be supporting COVID across the district. So we have our regular health services coordinator, Karen Body, and we've also hired a COVID risk assessment coordinator named Janie Peters. Those two are spearheading our information and support to the 13 other school nurses we have across the district. So our school nurses and those two people I mentioned are providing support across the district. Also coming soon will be a student COVID hotline that parents can call to talk directly to a school nurse to let them know about maybe possible student positive cases or symptoms or possible exposures to COVID.
Thank you, Scott. That has been, Health Services Group has been a very hardworking group also during this. And another very hardworking group, our custodial staff, who have been working on cleaning procedures. And I know we've had several parents ask about cleaning procedures in the buildings. Dr. Rhodes, do you want to expand on that for us?
Sure. During the day, we have our custodial staff that's on duty, but in addition to that, we've contracted with a company. If we have an outbreak in a classroom, in a hallway, in a school, we have a company that will come in the evening to do deep cleaning. In the classroom, as a student enters, they will also find a wall-mounted disinfectant, a hand sanitizer that is the foam. And then on the teacher's desk, the teachers have been given like a pump bottle that has the disinfectant. And then in addition to that, they have a spray bottle that has disinfectant in it. And that disinfectant is listed on the CDC website as well as the EPA, so it's very safe. The other thing that I just feel compelled to mention is that the two things that we know that are the most important things in keeping the virus from spreading is frequent hand washing and the wearing of masks. Some people, if you haven't watched some videos online or listened to some people with hand washing, it's really important to do that frequently. And what we know about the virus is that it's really stubborn. It just sticks to your hands. And so it's important to really scrub your hands, use your fingernails and really scrub when you wash your hands. But the other thing is the wearing of masks. That is just so important for us to do to prevent the spreading of the virus. And I was listening to a Zoom, watching a Zoom of the state, actually the OU epidemiologist, and he was asked the question, what is the best mask to wear? And, you know, I think all of us were kind of anticipating this like N95 mask. And his answer was a mask that people will wear properly. That's the best one to wear. And so it's really important for our students and obviously all of our staff to be wearing a mask that covers their nose and their mouth.
Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. One thing that we start many of our meetings with, and it's very nice to have a piece of good news during COVID. So I know we have some good news for this next question that's been asked by several parents about, do I need to give my child lunch money? How do I put that into their account? What do I need to do about that? Dr. Rhodes, I know you have some great news to share with us.
It is very good news. I mean, the short answer to that is no, you don't need to send lunch money with them. Lunch is provided, meals are provided. I'll expound on that a little bit. The federal government has in the past what's been called a summer lunch program. And basically at schools, you can feed students or actually anyone through the age of 18, even preschoolers. So during this time of COVID, the federal government through child nutrition, they have extended that program through the school year. So we're very fortunate that students really don't need, parents, you don't need to worry about lunch money and just any of the meals during this COVID time.
I know that's music to many ears during this time. And, you know, with this as being truly a back to school time, since it's a little later than normal that we come back to school, but parents are also concerned about the things that we typically are when we go back to school, such as school supplies, what school supplies are needed. And it's a little bit different because an AB schedule, parents wonder if they need to have different school supplies. And as we were talking about lunch procedures, what that's going to look like now that we are working with COVID protocols also. Barb, do you want to weigh in on that?
Well, thank you. First, I do want to say, as far as eating at school, we also will be serving breakfast. So I know that wasn't their direct question, but just to let parents know, obviously, when students get to school, they will go to their classroom in elementary, and they will have breakfast in the classroom to help with the congestion of early morning arrival. So parents, you don't have to worry about that. Breakfast will be served to the students in their classroom. Lunch, we are going to have the students eating in the cafeteria. We want students to enjoy that social time with their friends, but we want them to do it very safe as well. And so each site has worked really hard to ensure that tables are spread out far enough to where students can socially distance, but still enjoy that time with their friends. Social distancing will also take place in the cafeteria line, so that when they're going through the receiving line to get their tray, we don't have a big congestion in that area as well. And so I would just encourage parents, if they have any questions about their specific site, to check with their principal, and the principal can go through what those procedures look like. You'd mentioned supplies. Supplies can also be found on each school's website. There's a whole list. If a parent needs to call the school office, the secretary can also help them with that list as well. But I also know it's on the school or the district's website as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Barb. Shelley, do you want to add something for the secondary students?
Procedures are similar. We will have breakfast, and each site will do that differently. So the students will get that information from their particular site. Lunch will be served in cafeterias with social distancing. Schools have worked really hard to make that happen. And for example, PC West purchased bistro tables, and they have those around the courtyard on the inside, just to allow for more social distancing. As far as school supplies go, just like elementary, you can find that information on the school's website.
Thank you, Shelley. Several parents asking this question: what do we need to do? It's like we feel like we need to do some sort of action to be prepared here, and what do we need to do to ensure that our child starts off school on the right foot? And actually, there are just a few simple answers of things that you can do for your child. And I'm going to let Scott McCall take this one from Health Services.
Thanks, Charity. I think you've heard several of the things that theme throughout the first several questions about the importance of wearing a mask, washing hands, and social distancing. I would probably add a fourth one to that, which is monitoring your child for symptoms. So one of the big ones that we are asking you to partner with us on is taking your child's temperature at home before they come to school. And for any child who has a temperature of 100 or more, to keep your child home and contact your school nurse through that number that we talked about earlier. That'll be posted on the website. Some other things that you could do related to those other three, the big three, the mask, the frequent hand washing, and the social distancing, is to talk to your child in advance about the importance of those things, so that when they come to school, they know what to expect and are prepared for that.
Thank you, Scott. We will have communication going out with the student-only COVID hotline that you'll be able to call. So those two things: take your mask, take your temperature, and take inventory of symptoms. Thank you, Scott. Now, CORY, we also have some questions from parents too, because we've never done an A/B schedule before. So they're wondering, is there something I need to do for enrollment? And is there anything I can do on the days that my child is learning from home?
Sure. So if you have been attending distance learning with us, there's no additional enrollment families need to complete. Every student has been assigned either an A or B schedule, and so you should be good to go. Families on those off days that you will be still continuing to work from home. If you don't have internet, hopefully you found resources. If you haven't, please reach out to your school principal so we can help with that. We want to make sure everybody can learn to the best they can. And also, I would say, if you have not enrolled in the school, if you're maybe in pre-K or someone else and have not enrolled this year, it is not too late. We'd encourage you to go to our website. There's an online enrollment, and we can get you enrolled in a classroom today.
Happy to welcome back even more students. Barb, we've had several questions about, and probably the most asked question about returning to AB school. If we have questions about transitioning and what that looks like, and even just the level of comfort as far as sending your student back. Barb?
Thank you. I know principals and teachers and even the whole staff, they are super excited to have kids back in our classrooms. We have missed seeing that, and we're working extremely hard to make sure that our classrooms are ready for kids, that they're set up for learning, and that they're safe, and that we have all of the protocols in place to make sure that students are socially distancing but still experiencing a positive school environment. And so there are specific things for each site to ensure those protocols are in place with an A/B schedule. And I would just encourage parents to contact their school site's principal directly if they have specific questions on an A/B schedule, on a transitioning from maybe from virtual or distance learning. There's still that apprehensiveness about sending kids to school. And if you are having those questions, reach out to your school's principal, and they should be able to answer any questions to make you feel safe and comfortable with sending your kiddo to school.
Thanks, Barb. Shelley, would you like to add something for the secondary?
I would just like to reiterate, we're super excited that kids are going to be back in schools, and all staffs have worked tirelessly to ensure that that's going to be a smooth transition. And all those things will be explained to students on their first day back to school, and we will work on building relationships and helping students understand all the procedures and protocols that are put in place.
Shelley. This next question comes from Jacqueline at Caps Middle School, which we are very excited. We're especially excited to welcome back all of our students, but very excited about this new facility that the students at Caps will be able to utilize at this state of the art. But Jacqueline has asked, will parents be able to tour the facility to help children find their classes? Shelley?
That's a great question. At this time, we're not allowing parents to tour facilities. But what we are doing is, for example, CAPS is creating a video that will show parents where to drop off their students, and it will show students where to go in the building, because as Charity said, it is a brand new building, and sure, there's a little nervousness among students there, but rest assured, we've got you covered with that video. Look for that. And then throughout distance learning, teachers have pushed out videos through Google Class and Google Meet, so students will be familiar with their surroundings once they get there. Also, on the first day of school, students will be given a tour of their area and where they go. And we promise we won't lose any of your kids in our brand new building. Many schools have pushed out videos or are working on that. So look for that and ask your child if they've done that already through Google.
Thank you, Shelley. And I know, Barb, as a parent, holding the hands of our elementary children as we walk them up to school is a special moment, but COVID has created some of its challenges. And in order for the kids to return safely, we do have some protocol that we have to follow with that. So Barb, do you want to tell us about that from the elementary standpoint? Barb, it appears you are muted, so I'm going to have you unmute.
Thank you. I'll start again. So thanks, Charity. And you are exactly right. One of the most exciting things is for a parent to walk their 4-year-old or 5-year-old or even their 5th grader to class on that first day, and to see the excitement in their eyes and to see the classroom. But unfortunately, like you said, with COVID and the new procedures that we've had to put in place for safety, parents will not be allowed to walk their students to class or visit classrooms at this time. But I encourage parents to visit websites, school websites. I know several schools have posted the same thing like Shelley said. They've posted drop-off procedures, pickup procedures. They've done some virtual tours of the school and classrooms. And I just encourage parents to reach out again to their teacher and their school to see what they need to do to welcome those kids those first days. And again, parents, we're really sorry that we're not able to allow parents to do that at this time, and hopefully soon we will be. But for everybody's safety, we want to ensure that our parents know that we're not overcrowding our hallways and classrooms with a lot of people those first or during this time. Thanks, Charity.
Thank you, Barb. And you know, I think something everyone can agree on right now, it's not a Zoom meeting unless someone is muted at some point.
That's true.
The way of the digital world we're living in. So, okay, our next question comes from Tish at Hefner Middle School. And Tish asked really a 2-part question. Will buses be running like normal? And if so, what will be the protocol? Dr. Rhodes?
Thank you for that question. Yes, buses will be running. They'll be running as normally. There are some changes. First of all, buses will not be running in every neighborhood. Because we have the AB schedule, we have, of course, students coming on Monday, physically coming to in-person learning on Monday, and Tuesday is A, Thursday, Friday is B. So buses will be running only in those neighborhoods for those students that are living in the neighborhoods categorized as A. What will be different will be the protocol that we follow. Students will need to be wearing a mask when they get on the bus. And the other thing is that there will be a seating chart. Now that's really different for students. For us to be able to trace the virus, if there is a positive case on a bus, a student that rides the bus, we need to be able to know which students have been within close proximity of that student. So that's really different. So the two things to remember would be, first of all, check the website for bus times and for bus schedules and which buses, bus stops, those things probably have changed since last school year. So be sure and do that before Monday, before next week. But also wearing a mask, all students need to be wearing a mask when they get on the bus, and then they will have an assigned seat so that we can have a seating chart so that we can trace if there is a positive case.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rhodes. Our next question comes from Katie at Dennis Elementary, and we're going to ask Scott McCall this question. Will all parents be notified if someone in the school tests positive?
Yes, thanks for that question, Katie. Once we are notified of a positive case in the school, we will be notifying the classroom in which the student was a part of. Also, beyond that, our school staff will be, as Dr. Rhodes alluded to, kind of tracing and looking at seating charts and those things to identify the other students who may be considered close contacts who are within 6 feet of that child, and those parents would be directly notified as well. Sorry, I think that's it.
Thanks, Scott. Our next question comes from Laura from Putnam City West. She asked, if my child has a temperature over 100 degrees and therefore cannot attend school, can she participate in distance learning and not be counted absent that day? Good question.
Thank you for your question. You're exactly right. If your student has a temperature over 100 or any symptom of COVID, we really need them to stay at home. So in order for your child to do the work and be counted present, I need you to call the school and notify the attendance secretary that your child is staying home because they have a fever. And then also your student needs to do the work for that classroom so they can be counted present. Please, parents, keep your kids home if they have symptoms of COVID and let your school know. And we will work with you to help them be successful in their education.
And that's the same process for secondary and elementary schools, so that's worth noting. Quinn from Putnam City High wrote in and asked this question. I am a district transfer, and on the map, it does not show my location. How will I know if I am A or B?
Good question. So most out-of-district transfers were assigned an A schedule. If you're an inter-district transfer, you probably were assigned the same schedule of the neighborhood that you currently live in. But as I mentioned before, teachers should be reaching out to you and to verify that. And if you do have a question and you're not sure, please contact your school and they will be able to assist as well. One last thing is we do send a lot of information out via email. And if your email has changed or you are not receiving emails, we ask you to please let the school know so we can update those and so you can receive information from us.
That is very important. Thank you, CORY. Our next question comes from Michael at Putnam City North. Michael asked, if I want my child to stay in virtual learning until after winter break, how will I know if I am A or B? CORY will let you answer that also.
Sure. So virtual students are welcome to come back at semester. They're happy to do that. And inversely, if you aren't on our virtual program and would like to go back at semester, you're welcome to do that. You should have received an email if you are a virtual student and do want to come back. And then also, sorry, there's one other thing that we will be sending out information and options for parents for second semester very soon. So be looking for that.
Thank you, Corey. And Armani from Mayfield asked, this question is going to go to you also, Corey. As parents are trying to navigate in this digital world of learning that we are in now, Armani asks, how do I access PowerSchool?
Absolutely. So you can do that through Parent Portal, and I will pull that up real quick. And so if you go to our website, this is powerschool.putnamcityschools.org. And this is where parents, if you've had an account before, you've seen this, you can log in, you can see information about attendance. And if you're secondary, you can see grades as well. If you do not have an account, there's instructions on this page of what to do. You can also call our district enrollment office to get set up for this if you do not have an account.
Thank you, Corey. And while you're sharing your computer screen there, if you'll show our AB schedule one more time so that we can just review that as we begin October 26th. A schedules again, they are in person on Monday and Tuesday, and there is virtual learning days for the A schedule on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then our B schedule students, they have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as virtual learning days, and then Thursday and Friday, they are in person. And I would like to throw it over to Dr. Rhodes to give us just a few closing comments before we wrap up.
Thank you. First of all, parents, we really appreciate the patience that you've had during this time of COVID. We know it's been just so many challenges. We know that you've had quite a task to be able to help us provide the very best education for your child. We are super excited about students coming back to school. Coming back to school is always such a big time. So we're really excited about this coming Monday. We know that again, there are probably still a lot of questions that you might have. We're doing our best to answer those, and please don't hesitate to contact us. We do want to be back in school, and that's one reason that we have created this transition plan. We know that public school experience is so important, not just for the educational benefits that they have, but we know it's so important for a student's mental, their emotional, and their social well-being. So we're just super excited about this coming Monday. And we know it will go well. We know that everybody's anxious about it, but we know that once we're there, we're going to be having a great time. And so we look forward to this next coming week. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. Well, we just echo that. Everyone is so excited to have students return and return safely. Thank you so much for joining us for the AB Transition Forum. Continue to watch our website, putnamcityschools.org, and our social media outlets as we do continue to post updates there. Thanks and have a great day.